Welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Tyson, per usual. Here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Doing all right, man. The NBA series once again, kind of up and down, game to game. But I know we don't talk about it, but I've been enjoying NHL playoffs these past couple of days with the in between. So Zoo, I know it's out of your territory, but
A
I've been
little bit out
enjoying
of
it. It's
mine, but I've
exciting,
watched a
man.
couple highlights.
It's exciting.
Low
man.
key, I've been actually checking the scores, and they're all going to overtime. So
Yeah.
they're
Might
all
be
like,
good betting
it might be,
opportunities, Zoo.
it might be good, man. Because some of these NBA games, I turned it off after the fourth quarter last game.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
when-
your
when-
Ranger and the New York Rangers are in, man. You're
Oh,
in
yeah.
town.
No, that is true, man. Like when
They're playing tonight.
like the NBA blowouts have been going crazy. Like legit, that last game, 3 quarters, and it was over after that Jordan pulled tray ball.
They pulled the
So-
benches, didn't they? Like
Yeah.
the benches
Yeah.
got like
Yeah.
good playing time.
In a final,
That's crazy, the final
Udoka put in whatever that Smith guy,
Neesmith.
Neesmith. That's the white flag right there. That's the white flag. Guy plays 0 minutes. Put that guy in. I'm like, okay, why am I even watching? I'm gonna log off now. Like, there's no reason to watch. Game over, man. Put that guy in. So, a lot of blowouts, but man, it is 1-1 though. It is 1-1.
It is 1-1. That's all.
It is 1-1.
It is nice. So, blowouts have been a super thing for the playoffs this year. And I guess you could say we could take the 3-point shot for that. Because somebody had brought up a point, like, back in the day, you could be up, say you're in the second quarter, you're up 25 or 20. You pretty much have the game won because people are only scoring mid-range, or maybe if you get a bunch of and ones, you might be able to come back. But now with the 3-point shot, like a 20-point lead is not safe. And we saw that in game one. And then in game two, it's just once the team gets up, it's just, it's curtain. So this has been a series. I would say each game has been like its own game within it. So I wanted to ask the guys what were their thoughts of the first 2 games. And Zoo, I'm gonna start with you.
The Jason Tatum shooting percentage, man, doo-doo. It's been doo-doo, man. Doo-doo, man. First game, like, they got away with it because Al Horford was freaking cash money hero, man. Al Horford, Derek White, cash money. So all the role players stepped up. Marcus Smart. So all the role players hit threes, man. They got bailed out. Like, they balled out. Like, legit, the Golden State game plan was just fascinating. They just didn't guard anyone from 3. Like, the defense didn't really respect them at all. They focused all their attention on Tatum and Brown, and then let all the role players get pretty much wide open looks without like any contest. It looks like practice shots. Like, I saw a stat, like Al Horford, average shot distance was like 7 feet between him and the next defender from 3, man. Like, anybody,
That's
like,
PK.
I don't care. Yeah, dude, this is like, you're an NBA player. Like, you could be completely bad at 3, but if you get open threes like that, that's cash money. So I don't know the defensive scheme for that was going on, but man, they obviously made some adjustments in game 2 and locked down the role players. But man, it's just the role players right now. Because Steph Curry right now, because you're looking at Steph Curry right now, he's not playing with a single other All-Star on his team currently. Klay Thompson is not. Klay Thompson is not playing like an All-Star. He's been atrocious shooting, taking bad shots. Like, I don't know if some of these shots he's taking, it's just like he gets the ball, he just jacks it up because he's trying to get in rhythm. He's taking awful shots. Draymond Green game 1 was like terrible. It was just terrible. The dude shot like 1 for 12,
2 for 10.
2 for 10. Like, the dude had awful shooting percentages, and like, they're giving him all this space. Like, everybody knows the game plan with Draymond Green. Force the guy to be a scorer because the guy doesn't want to score, man. The guy wants to be a passer. The guy wants to do his dribble handoffs with Steph Curry. Like, that's all he wants to do. So that, like, he's a massive liability on offense, along with Andre Iguodala when he played game 1. Like, when they had that lineup with Draymond and Iggy, man, that was no Steph Curry. You had Draymond and Iggy. And just like have 2 liabilities out there on offense. So just like that offense was really, really bad. Good thing like Iggy got injured. Like, I feel like it's
he did hit it. He did hit that nasty 3 like right after coming in. I was like, oh he's back, baby. Max Kellerman's gonna blow up right now.
Iguodala. Oh my Lord, that dude's such a liability, man. But like, yeah, they got Gary Payton back now, so he pretty much pretty much doing the Iguodala role, playing defense, no offense, but he's just pretty much younger. So it's very interesting because Steph Curry is a one-man show. This will be his most impressive title, just behind his supporting cast. Because I feel like he's playing with no true other All-Stars. He's playing like an MVP right now, averaging 30 points a game in the NBA Finals against the team that locked down Kevin Durant. The same defense that played Kevin Durant. That dude's making 26 points on awful efficiency.
Yep.
Steph Curry's dropping 30 points a game right now in the
Getting
finals.
triple teamed half the time.
Yeah, man, dude, the scheming, man. I don't know about the start of game one with the drop coverage, with the open three balls, getting 20 points in the first quarter, but they have obviously made some adjustments in game two, going higher on the pick and roll. But Steph Curry, man, he's been putting on a show, man. And if he continues this pace, he easily finals MVP because nobody on that Golden State team has played like an all-star.
No,
nobody.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Curry too, and I kind of noticed this just watching, I guess maybe more so the beginning of game 2 versus game 1 was Steve Kerr kind of made an adjustment. Like you said, Zoo, the Celtics were kind of like just backing off Curry for some reason in Q1 of game 1.
Weird.
And he was just taking all the shots, right? Because they were open to him and it's Steph Curry. So why not? But I think like looking back, it actually hurt the team in the long run because nobody else got going early. They didn't get into the flow of the game. And that's not to say Curry was making bad decisions because he was wide open. But in quarter 1 of game 2, they were moving the ball around. Curry might have only taken 2-3 shots in the first quarter there. I think he ended up having 10 points, got a couple at the line as well. But they were allowing everybody else to get a feel for the game, which just opened up Jordan Poole, right? Had, a nice game. Wiggins was kind of doing his thing. Hell, they even put Bielitsa in there. He actually got some minutes in game 2. And I just think it helped with the entire flow of the Warriors offense because they're always moving, man. And if you watch the Celtics in game 2, they were not moving at all as a team. Derek White took 13 shots, man.
Too many
shots. Jaylen Brown, 5 of 17. Tatum had a good game from 3. He actually went 6 for 9.
Yeah.
But he was 2 for 10 inside the arc. Are you kidding me, man? I mean, those are the shots he has to be over 45, 50% on. And then his 3-point game can fluctuate game to game. But putting up 28 in game 2 was big. He had no help in that game at all. No one could get it going. But, man, if they're only getting 20 a game on 37% shooting or less from both Brown and Tatum, they're not winning this series. No matter how good Horford plays or how good Smart plays or Derek White, they need one of those two guys to really step up and have a Steph Curry Finals MVP performance, man. Because right now, you might be able to argue that Jaylen Brown has a chance at this MVP more than Jason Tatum if they win. They're both at a poor level of play right now, so it's kind of wide open. The 13 assists, man, that was big in game 1 for Tatum, just getting his facilitating going too. That was big for him.
Yeah, he did show it. He did open an actual part of his game that I guess a lot of people would question is his ability to assist the ball.
And realizing that he wasn't making any shots and just like, okay, I'll get everybody else going. And it worked.
Yeah. I feel like this is, this never happens, but I feel like because everybody's been harping on Steph Curry not winning Finals MVP, that if the Warriors lost, it would be hilarious if Steph Curry still won Finals MVP just because, like, I know that never happens, but how, like,
Jerry West routine,
when LeBron would have all those huge, like, I think it was the first championship they won. LeBron, Iguodala stopped him, but like had those crazy stat lines.
He just led the series in points, rebounds, assists.
That's all he did.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious if that's how Steph got his Finals MVP. Like if he got it in Boston to win the series. But I do think with Clay, it has been pretty alarming how bad he's played. That last game, it just looked like he was just trying to find his rhythm.
He was rushing
him out there.
Yeah, he was rushing.
Couldn't get anything. He couldn't get the drop. So, we all know he has the capability, but am I going to bank on that in the next couple of games? I'm just
only
not.
game 6.
Them going on, yeah. Well, yeah. If they're up 3-2, maybe the game 6 Clay comes out. But in this series, I really can't get a grasp because on one hand, you could say Golden State has controlled the series because they controlled basically the first game until the fourth quarter, and they just let that go. And then in this last game, they controlled it and they won it. So you could say, if you're a Golden State fan, saying, "Look, we controlled this series. We just gave one bad fourth quarter." But then if you're Boston, you're like, "No, we came back in the fourth quarter in the first game, and in the second game, we already won the first game, so we're like, who cares about second game? So we're going back home to Boston." Like I say, I think it's key if Brown and Tatum can have 2 games where they're both cooking. It just looks like they're the better team because, to Zoo's point, Steph doesn't really have any help. Like Draymond, what I don't get about Draymond, bro, is everybody knows what he's gonna do, what his goal is to do, and people still fall for it. Like they fall for his tricks, his running around, his flopping and hitting people. And the one play they had, I think on ESPN, was on a loop where he was just like basically like pushing players into like he does a lot of that after he gets an and one. He loves flexing on,
no matter who it is.
It doesn't matter. But he just has this knack to get under everybody's skin, and to his credit, it works for him. So, but if I'm Boston, I have to. You got to be better than that. You got to know, like Jaylen Brown's like he's trying to pull. Well, he's trying to pull your pants down and that crazy because that's what Draymond's trying to do. Seriously, he can't score. Like he can't get his own shot. When he shoots a three, it looks like it's like the heart, like it's like a push shot.
Kevin
he can't
Hart,
even get
man.
it.
I always have to remind you, Kevin Hart beat him in a 3-point shooting contest. It's supposed to be a joke, and he lost.
And his numbers have gone down since, man. If you look at his stats, his attempts cut in half after that.
Confidence killer. And you know what else Kevin Hart did? He blocked Kyle Lowry, which is hilarious.
Also the demise.
that might have a correlation. But with this series, it's hard to give a grasp on who has control. I would say right now, just because Boston's going home, Boston has control. But if the Warriors come up and maybe Klay shows up in Game 3, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, the Warriors have this type of control back in the series. So it's going to be interesting to see what the role players, how they perform. They always say role players perform better at home. So maybe Al Horford has some more threes in him. Derek White does some things.
Marcus needs to get going.
Yeah, Marcus is. I know he's a defensive guru, and that's what he was tasked to do with Steph. But everybody always says
he got 2 points last game.
Yeah,
that's unacceptable.
I think
he's not scoring.
His mentality, I think, might have gotten crushed a little bit when he almost blew the lead for his team in Game 7 against the Heat. They might have said, "Look, man, you're here to do these things, and if you get an open shot, you get an open shot." He's not forcing it as much, but I think that they need him to do that.
They need him to do
it a little bit. Maybe not in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, taking a bunch of shots. That's the thing with Marcus. Yeah. He does too much though. Like I think he has a problem with. If you notice, he'll get like if he makes his first three, he'll get trigger happy and forget Tatum and Brown on the court. And he'll just start shooting it. But they actually kind of need that now because like you say, with the up and downs of Tatum and Brown, if Marcus can get 2 or 3 threes to get going, offensively, that could help them a lot and be the difference in the game. Because like you say, with the Warriors, I can't bake anything. Like right now, it's pretty much Jordan Poole or bust. Like you're waiting for Jordan Poole to have a big game, and he had a little nice spurt in the game 2. But banking on him to be that that second player, and I guess you could say second option for the Warriors, I just don't see it. So, with Boston, we know 2 bona fide guys, and Tatum and Brown are guys that can go get buckets. So if they could just have a game where they're consistently doing that, I think they could win this series. Like I said, I got them in 6. But if I was Boston, you need to win these next 2 home games.
Yep.
Because I think if they split, if you split, then there's a good chance it's probably go 7. And I'm telling you, Steph can only he'll make 2 threes in Game 7, and the roof is going to blow off. It's just going to go crazy. And I don't know if Boston can overcome that. So if I'm Boston, I'm thinking in the mentality of we need to get these next 2 games. So, that's going to be an interesting part of the series. But, for me, selfishly, I'm hoping it does go 7 because I like more NBA basketball because after that it's going to be golf. Hockey. Yeah. I mean, hockey will probably be done too. Baseball
coming up,
And dude, those Golden State Warriors runs in the third quarter, though, it's just so predictable. It happens every third quarter.
It does.
No matter what.
It happens every third quarter. It's crazy because historically in the past, these are the KD Warriors with Steph. Now that was just Steph Curry with a bunch of role players, and they're still doing this in the third quarter. And they're just blasting the roof up, double-digit leads every single time against the Celtics team, and they obviously know about it. They know historically about it, and they've been outscored in the third quarter like historically in the playoffs right now, especially this playoff run. So I don't know what adjustments they make, but after halftime, I don't know what happens. I just don't know what happens.
You know what? Kerr.
I don't know. First half,
rage mode
for Steve Kerr,
like first half, back and forth, multiple lead changes within like 5 to 10 points every game. And then like this third quarter is like a blowout. Like it happened both games so far. So I'm just like, I don't know what adjustment Udoka can make because it's happening. They're going to make that run.
They kind of go on that run when they, start back with their starting lineup, right? Which includes Rob Williams when you think about that. And I know he's averaging, 2 to 3 blocks in this series, and he's been big, maybe around 20 minutes a game. But this Warriors team, they move so much, man. Every single player on the floor, even Kevon Looney, he's just coming up setting screens, setting back screens down on the baseline for Klay or Curry. That, and I think we even saw he didn't play. Udoka didn't play Rob Williams as much in the second half in Game 2, and it put a lot on Horford, who got exposed in the lane as a shot blocker, or that being his quote unquote role when he's the 5 on the floor. And so I don't know if Udoka should. It's a tough place to decide against this Warriors team specifically to play Rob Williams for his rim protection ability, or take a gamble on Horford, or play them both, however you want to do it, or go small. I think that's kind of the conundrum he's in at this point as the head coach. And for a first-year head coach doing this in the finals against one of the most dynamic teams you've ever seen, and probably the most dynamic team in the past 10 years, it's tough to make those adjustments and make those calls. But I do think that decision on how he plays his big men is going to continue to play a big role going forward in this series.
You got to play Rob, I feel like. Because when Looney, like it's the same thing with Bam last series. When Rob wasn't in, Bam ate. When for Looney, when Rob's not in, Looney's more effective. Yep. Rob is the neutralizer, like you say. Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, but Rob Williams is the key to that defense. And if he's not on the floor, because he's playing so many minutes. And I also think too, he's on the floor, so they always say when you're on the floor, you're healthy. But Rob Williams, if you just watch him, he don't look healthy, dude. He don't. He looks like he's laboring. Like when he falls, he's always like getting up slow. It's kind of tough to watch sometimes.
He's off a torn meniscus. Yeah, like he's off a torn meniscus and came back in the playoffs. Yeah. Like this is like hardcore basketball, physical basketball. You got Lonzo Ball of the Bulls and not just missing half the year.
Don't even bring it up.
And this brother comes back in the playoffs.
We have history
and become a contributor.
Derrick Rose did the same thing.
So I'm just like, yo, this is a significant injury, and this dude come back and he's giving his team as much as he could give him right now. So and he's giving 3 blocks a game right now in the playoffs. Yeah. So even in limited minutes, he's still making an impact on defensive. But obviously, he's not completely healthy 100%. But yeah,
which can be a detriment when the Curry gets into the lane. It's easier for him to step around. I don't know. It's tough. But with Clay not getting going, this series is wide open, I think.
That man just help off of Clay, man.
Yeah.
Man, they might run maybe more double teams against Steph Curry, man. Force Draymond to be more of a playmaker and see what he could do. Put the ball in his hands more and try to make him be a scorer. Like, don't even help on Dray. Make Draymond drive in and do a layup when the help comes in, man. Just make him do that, man.
Make him make a play.
Make him flex on you, man. I don't know. Flex, man. I saw the Al Horford flex, man. I saw that flex. That was just like, okay, I can do that too, man. 26 points.
If Draymond drops 15, 16 on you, all you can say is good game.
Yeah, you have to just be like, all right, cool. Yeah, you guys got it. Because if Draymond, I'll put it right here. If Draymond in any game that he gives you 15 to 16 points, the Warriors winning a blowout.
No matter what.
That is what we've got to, like the status we've got to with Draymond. If he gives you 15 or more points, the Warriors are probably blowing that other team out. Because they've
been raining threes and he's got the lane wide open probably. That's the only way.
And before we move on, you know what is so crazy? Like that finals that the Cleveland Cavs came back. That was 2016 or 17.
2016.
Didn't Draymond go like 6 for 7, 7 for 7?
Yeah,
from 3
he had 32
like
points.
How insane was that? That was only a few years ago.
2017, I think, isn't that when he played Kevin Hardzu in the 3-point contest?
Insane.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget.
He went from that and just lost it. So yeah, we're gonna see. This series is teetering both sides. We're gonna see how they play tomorrow. I think it's at 9 p.m. Another gripe I have with the NBA, I hate that it comes on at 9.
It's East Coast, so man.
Yeah.
When teams, like, they got to have, so the Warriors fans aren't at work watching the game.
Yeah. But we're going to see how the series goes, so we're going to tune into that. But we're going to get into now Jabari Smith Jr., who is a hot commodity for the NBA draft, more of a 6'10", small forward, power forward, center, whatever you want to put him in. He's a wing guy. And, he's been having a lot of talk about being possibly the number 1 pick with his skill set. I know a lot of people have been talking about Chet, but it's kind of been between those two. So I wanted to kind of ask the guys, first off, their thoughts on his game and where they could potentially see him landing in. People, I'm going to start with you.
It's tough, man, because I think we all thought Chet might be a good fit for the Thunder. And, but there's also with his, Suggs history, possibly going number 1. But I do think Jabari just as a fit overall. I do think he'd fit well in Orlando. I know they have a lot of big men down there, but they're always trying to expand their 3-point game. And especially if you can add a 6'10" guy who I know he's not shooting. I think he shot maybe 85 threes at Auburn, something like right around there.
But he shot like 44, yeah.
About 44%.
He shot 42% from 3. 42%.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And if you can pair that up with, to Zoo's point a couple weeks ago, I think he mentioned that Wendell could easily play the 4 down in Orlando. And if you could put Jabari in at the 5 position and he's stretching the floor, I mean, that's
at
pretty
the 5?
Yeah, I don't know. You might. Jabari? He's 6'10".
He's 6'10", but at the 5.
I mean, small ball 5.
I mean,
but
it's small
ideally,
ball.
Yeah, ideally. Like, if they were to draft him, I think ideally you would have like a bigger type 5 and then Jabari at the 4. But I mean, if Jabari ever expanded his dribbling, which I'm gonna let Peebles finish his point, then he could maybe be a 3. But
I think it's going to come down to how much he can adjust to the league. One, if he wants to play the 5, which I do think if the Magic play, I mean, if you have two guys like Wendell and him, that's not a shabby backcourt or front court at all. On rebounding purposes, I do think he could work on his game a little bit there. He's relatively shifty for his size, but I do think if he wants to really make it as a big man in the league, he does have to bulk up a bit. I mean, you got to see probably in that 230, 235 range at 10, 15 pounds. But if he can stretch the floor for a Magic team that's got some solid young guards, I think you could say, maybe not necessarily one that's a standout compared to the other. Suggs kind of had a little bit of a down first year. Cole Anthony's Kobe White on steroids. I'm going to call him that. He's just very streaky. I think they just need some consistency, and having a guy like this that you can rely on offensively and still is a big enough presence in the NBA to make a difference on the defensive end. I don't think you can complain for a team that really has nowhere to go but up. I think that's the biggest thing is they kind of have to splash, and this is the biggest decision for them. But look, man, no team's going to turn down the opportunity to draft Jabari Smith. So if he falls and he doesn't go number 1, Chet does, or for some reason Banchero, whoever's at 2, 3, Thunder, whoever, you can't go wrong with Jabari, man. He's just kind of the hot commodity, like Sean said.
Yeah, man. Because the physicals, man, 6'10", 220, man. He's got the NBA body already, man. NBA body. NBA skill set, he's a 42% 3-point shooter.
Yep.
I see him, he's a definition of an NBA stretch 4. I think that's his role in the NBA. I don't think he has the guard skills of being like a wing type guy that can obviously create off the dribble and do all that. But I think as a stretch 4, man, complimentary player in the lineup, man, this guy can spot up and drain threes, man. But, man, 17.7 rebounds, obviously rebounding, man. I don't think he's the greatest rebounder. Physicality on the defensive end, I don't think he's got that. But I feel like offensively, NBA day 1, he can make immediate impact just by shooting the basketball and having a pull-up jump shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know about these NBA GMs about fit or where. I'm about taking best player available, man. Regardless of position, you figure out the fit later because you're trash right now because you're in the lottery. You trash, so all your guys are tradable. You got no untradables on your team. So if you're a good GM, you can always trade for better assets. So whoever thinks the better asset, because Chet, Jabari, these guys are all like not consensus. None of these guys are consensus.
No,
it's not an easy draft, man. It's not an easy draft. You got to do some due diligence with this draft. So Jabari Smith as a complimentary player, man, a Rashard Lewis looking dude. That's what it looks like. Rashard Lewis's role on the Orlando Magic, man. The stretch 4 guy that can drain threes at an elite level. That's why I feel like the type of role that this guy could play off a complimentary a big guy in the middle, complimentary stretch 4. So I feel like if he does that role in the NBA, he's easily worth a top 4 pick.
Yeah. That's why I think pairing him up with Wendell would be because Zoo watching him in the Bulls, he does not have a shabby mid-range game. He's got a nice
Wendell's got a nice jump shot.
So I think that pairing, if you have both of those guys on the floor, you got to take one big man out of the lane to guard Wendell at sometimes, and then you still got Jabari Smith out at 3. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. I think that's a pretty ridiculous lineup, but it's all on how the Magic handle it.
Yeah, because
I don't know if I trust it.
Because they got a lot of like the similar type dudes, like Jonathan Isaac, very similar, long, lanky
hasn't
dude,
played in like
little perimeter skills, multiple injuries. Like when he's he's definitely a prospect, and they got Mo Bamba too. He's a free agent, so like not sure what they're gonna do all these guys because these were all top 10 picks. Like these are all top 10 picks that these guys had in the last.
They've had a lot of top 10 picks.
Oh yeah, in the last decade, man, they had a collection. None of them were superstars or even all stars. So they're searching right now. So they can't be messing up these picks.
They kind of remind me of Sacramento. Like Sacramento never seems to get like in that spot where they can get like a game-changing guy. They always are like right outside of their spot of where.
They had opportunities.
Well, they did
mess them up. Yeah, they had opportunities.
You know what's crazy? Somebody was saying Vlade. There was like a back channel. Something happened, like something with Luka's camp and Vlade. Like they both like disagreed. Both camps were like, no, we're just not going to deal with each other, and that's why they took Bagley. It was something going on below that, but still, I don't know how you figure that out and just rectify it and be like, who cares? Let's just take Luka. But besides that, I don't think Jabari will last this far. But I kind of, when I was thinking about, most people were saying he can go to the Magic, Thunder, whatever. He's going to be in the top 2 probably with picks. I kind of like his fit with Houston because of, if you watch their center they got him last year, Sengun. He's kind of like a burly kind of traditional center,
traditional
6'10",
center.
6'11",
traditional.
6'11" center. So I don't think he would be in the way of Jabari. And I think with their guard situation with Jalen Green, now I feel like they do need a point guard, but they got a nice rotation of Christopher Green and I always forget his name, Kevin Porter Jr. Those 3 guards in the back. I think that's a nice, solid foundation of guards that you have. And with Jabari, I think it would just open up the lane even more for Jalen to just drive and go crazy. Because, like you say, Jabari brings a type of shooting skill that he could spread the floor, and he also has the ability to now with college basketball. I watched a little bit of Auburn just in terms of, like, even before the tournament with how they played, and their guards were really bad. But Jabari, when he was forced, like, because he got put in a lot of positions where he would get the ball at like 7 or 6 seconds where he couldn't, you have to make a quick move. And he doesn't have it now, but he kind of has a little bit of a dribble game where it's like, okay, it's not awful for a big guy. Like, he can dribble a little bit. Now, it's not superb where you can put him at the 3. But if he were ever were to develop that for it to be average, then that could really be a nice fit with Sengun and Jalen and all those guys in the backcourt. Because I just feel like you got Jalen Green, or not Jalen Green, but you got Jabari moving around the perimeter, moving around the mid-range. He operating that. You got Sengun anchoring down at the post. And like you say, you got Jalen Green on the perimeter. We all know he's a scorer, and he's going to end up probably scoring 25 a game. So I kind of like that fit. And I think from what everybody has said, like, he's a leader. Like, he's a hardworking guy who takes the game seriously. And I think down in Houston, you kind of need that, because even with Houston and their exciting young players, and not saying Jabari's going to come in and be a leader from day one, but if you have a foundational piece who's got that type of attitude, maybe, he's able to lead by example, and it kind of gets all those guys galvanized. Because with OKC, I feel like all these guys can fit well with OKC because they just play a lot of young players. Orlando, I hear your point, people, about Wendell, but I feel like
a mashup there.
Yeah, it's just kind of a little bit of a carbon copy. I feel like Jabari's got a higher ceiling to be a better Wendell. So it's like that would be interesting if they both could play on the floor at the same time.
Them. That's the other thing. To Zoo's
you could
point,
move Wendell.
Yeah,
you could move Wendell. Yeah, if
and
Jabari's that guy,
best player, man,
you
best player available.
You could end up potentially moving him, but I kind of want to think outside the box and see, like, maybe the Rockets could be a good spot. Now, I don't think he gets to the Rockets because I think he goes in the top 2.
They could trade with the Thunder too.
My question with you, man, they got Christian Wood. He's pretty nice. He's a nice young player, man. He's a nice young player. He's on a very cheap contract. He's making $13 million.
I think you move Christian Wood if you can get Jabari Smith.
Yeah, $13 million a year
like
for
Christian Wood.
17 and 10, 17 and 10, stretch 4. That's a solid player.
Yes.
Very productive player.
I'd move Christian, though. I think Jabari can be better than him.
I will say, and I
could probably get something decent for Christian.
You could definitely get
something. They could move something.
He could help out a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Including the Bulls.
Oh, yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah. But I do got to say
we ain't got no power forward in our roster.
No.
We don't have a single one.
You know who Jabari's related to, though? You know his cousin? It's Kwame Brown, man. Cousin of Jabari Smith. And all I got to say is, man, he does not have the hands that Kwame Brown does. He's definitely got much better. I thought that just absolutely hilarious, man.
Mentality, too.
Just running in the family. Congratulations to that family. But, putting 2 guys in the NBA. But at the same time, this guy's got a way better skill set. To you guys' point, I do think he'd be obviously better at the stretch 4. But in this current NBA, you can kind of play whichever way you want. But the way the NBA is kind of shifting is anytime a certain position or a certain aspect of the game gets overlooked, you see the teams that end up being successful in, maybe 2-3 years down the road are going to be the ones that adapt and start bringing back good centers because they're going to just dominate you down low. Not saying it's going to create a championship team in a year or 2, but I think with less centers in the league, you see even AK, right, Zoo, he sees that they need some height and some defensive rebounding ability because you can take advantage of half the NBA by putting a guy like that in there. So not saying Jabari's a great rebounder or anything like that, but just big men in general are going to be getting a little bit more traction now. As long as they can shoot.
That's the premium, yeah. It's the shoot.
At least a mid-range. You need at least a mid-range game to be successful. But I do think a presence down low of a 7-footer, you're going to maybe see in the next couple of years moving a bit further away from small ball. and start implementing a little height in there too. So Magic may have overdone it a little bit though.
Jabari is definitely, we all agree, he's just a plug and play guy where he fits a lot of places. There's not a lot of, I mean, you can probably go through every team in the lottery and be like, Jabari can fit here. Because it's just, when you're a big guy that can shoot and he has active hands and he can move around, it's just, that's something can translate in the NBA. So we're gonna be very interested. Like I said, the draft is coming up on the 23rd of June. It's sneaking up on us, and we're gonna be doing more player comparisons and things like that. Like I said, we're also gonna be talking about the playoffs. With the NBA kind of winding down in the finals, we are starting to hear a couple of coaching moves. Or not hearing, we're seeing a couple of coaching.
Quinn Snyder, moves. Man,
that resigned. That's
that resignation. That does not happen.
No,
usually,
that was they gave him the you can resign instead of being let go.
No, I disagree. No, I disagree.
You disagree?
No, they wanted him to stay.
You think so?
Yes.
You think he had internal conflict?
Absolutely. Danny Ainge in the press conference when they have those like, we have this little mutual agreement, a departure, like it's you fired his ass, but you don't want to say you fired
usually
him. Danny Ainge said that they wanted to keep him.
He could be saying that, but he also could not be. Yeah.
Well, I think Quinn Snyder is a good coach. I think he's a good coach.
So why do you think he left? You think Donovan or somebody's going to leave?
That might be it. By last 8 seasons, he's been very productive. One of the highest winning percentages as a head coach. His defense and offense in the regular season has been top 5. Like, it's only been done by like Steve Kerr, Popovich, a lot of coaches like that. So his resume on a Utah Jazz team, which I don't think, like, he has some borderline stars, like no true superstar like Donovan Mitchell. He's almost in there. Rudy Gobert
is just below the Jason Tatum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's a one-way player. Like, he's a one-way player. So, oh my Lord.
No, but you're right, dude. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, they never had 2 scoring studs either.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Clarkson, 2 straight.
Like,
he's a 6-man.
Yeah, but they had the Jordan Ingles and the bum Mike Conley getting overpaid. Like, the roster was just not that. People forget they were the number 1 team in the NBA last year.
Yep.
With freaking Mike Conley and Joel Ingles of the world, and they were lighting it up with their offense.
They were the best 3-point shooting team in the league and the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah,
that's like, a beautiful combo.
Yeah,
beautiful
and
combo.
Majority are all role players. So his leaving is very, very surprising. I don't know if there's another head coaching job lined
That's what
up.
I think it is. I think he's going somewhere else because, he still has a year left on his deal. So I think technically the Jazz can be like, no, you can't coach this year. And
he might take a year off. He might take a year off.
He's going to take a year off, and I think he's going to be in the league somewhere.
Where do you think he would go? I got just to toss.
The rumor is San Antonio if Popovich resigns.
Interesting.
And he was a Popovich disciple too.
There you go.
So passing the torch. Passing the torch, man. Like, he's a solid head coach. Similar philosophy, gets underrated players and outperforms. So feel like that's a potential job in the future.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But Utah Jazz franchise right now, they had new ownership group come in. D Wade hopped on. If you lose your head coach in a couple of years, next year they have the All-Star game, right? They have the All-Star game, so I don't think Donovan Mitchell is going to get traded because that'll look horrendous if they trade away Donovan Mitchell, their franchise player, away. So I feel like he's going to be there for at least one more year. But the year after, I think he might get traded. So
it could be over in Salt Lake.
And if they get traded, they might go full rebuild, and that's going to be really, really ugly. Really ugly.
I think
Wayne Wade's going to regret.
Yeah,
dude, man, he should have got that Miami Heat ownership, man. Should have got that Miami Heat ownership, but Utah probably gave him a little more equity, man.
Yeah,
probably. And that was definitely a play for Donovan. So yeah, I could see Dwayne Wade pulling out of that quite early if Donovan Mitchell's on the move. It will be interesting to see where he would end up going, but yeah, Utah. Speaking of. Before we go, why is the All-Star game in Utah? Can you even stay out past 12 in Utah?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I think you can.
I thought they had these weird drinking laws and stuff where it's like you can't do certain stuff after, and you got to have like a membership to join the bars in Utah. Like
what?
I thought it was. I
don't know how exclusive it is of a state, Sean, but
I think it's. I gotta go talk about it, but I saw that somewhere. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like. I don't know. They probably want something on the West Coast. I feel like they've done a lot of Midwest, East Coast.
New ownership, man. They got new ownership. Boost up the local economy, man. Yeah, local economy. Bring some buzz to the Jazz. They're a number 1 team a couple years ago. Give them some love, but
it's behind the scenes, man.
Man,
We're not
it's
privy to.
it's gonna be ugly though.
Yeah, that
It's
franchise
gonna
has a
be
rough few
ugly.
years upcoming.
Like
I feel like we always felt like I think everybody kind of had this, even though Utah always did run a regular season. We kind of always knew they were that team, like one of the few teams that were a blow up team because it's just
they were
like,
desperate, man.
yeah.
They gave it all for Mike Conley. He was my former player I love hating on. Him and Kyle Lowry, man. These old ass point guards are barely all-stars, man.
They should have just waited for CP3, man.
Oh yeah, dude. They gave up the same amount of asset. They gave up a decent amount of asset. Like Memphis, they finessed, man. Like he gave him his best years. He got old, traded away for a couple of draft picks, a couple of young players, man. That is terrific. You got to get rid of these old point guards because Mike Conley this year, he's barely a starter.
Yeah.
He is
Kyle
barely
Lowry,
a starter.
Same
thing. Barely a starter. And you're paying these guys $30 million of your cap. Like $30 million.
Yeah,
$30 million.
Think about it a little bit.
Yeah, that's an all-star caliber money right there. So
could be a lot of moves this summer or the following, to Zoo's point, for the Jazz.
Yeah. NBA, dude, I always feel like the summertime is almost becoming as interesting as
absolutely.
It's like people get pissed off, players get mad. All of a sudden, this guy you never thought would leave is all of a sudden on the bottom of the ticket saying, "Up." Yeah, he's just certain guys is always get moved in the NBA. That's what makes it so interesting, and which kind of helps during the months where, like, if you're not a baseball or hockey or whoever golf guy, you get to watch the NBA because it's just from the draft, summer league, and all that stuff. Like, it's just so much content for the NBA. So we're going to be sticking to mainly NBA for the most part, sprinkling in some NFL stuff too as well. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at bullheaded_pod. It's also the social for Twitter. Make sure you follow us on YouTube at Quantro Knows. We're on all the DSPs, major DSPs, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we're out.